Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy, and this is a particular note if you drive an electric vehicle. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by 10th Man, Arwin, Refracted Curvature, Neil, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Greetings all.
Hey, good morning.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Nathan, before you start, remember this is D-Day. Discord does the housekeeping questions.
There's nobody in there. There's like 3 people in there. One of them is Righteous Force.
Well, that's assuming we're invading a full field of people on D-Day, but I guess not.
Nah, I mean, we can still do it that way. I mean, I'll say it just because obviously things start, and if you don't do them, they never really start, even if it's not going exactly how you planned. But I'll just reiterate that, even though you've said it already. So, at the beginning of a week, we're going to do Discord Day, which is to say that we will expect to hear, even if you're a flat earther in this instance, the answers to the questions that we ask for housekeeping from Discord. So can I just get a nice cheery hello and of enthusiasm from Discord first? Hello, Discord.
Hello, Nathan.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's enthusiasm right there. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere-edge horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
No.
You're gonna need
Black
the
Swan.
radius for that.
Yeah, you are going to need a radius for that. What about axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
Nope.
Sure.
Nothing.
Was that a sure? Or was that from G+? Was that Arwin?
Yeah, that was me. Sorry. Force of habit.
Axial rotation? Anybody? Proof Earth spins.
Nope. No signs.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there somewhere.
What is the sun?
God, you guys have definitely been here long enough to know what the answers from G+ are. Yeah, I'll just ask it again. Let's try that one more time. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
Nope.
You're gonna need R for that too.
You need R for that too.
There it is. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
You're gonna need R for that too.
There it is. Well, any scientific evidence of gravity?
Einsteinian or Newton?
Or whatever.
I was just gonna.
You were just going to say the same thing. Whichever you prefer.
Yeah, either one you need R.
There you go.
Yeah, no evidence.
What about any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Ooh, that reminds
Nope.
me, Nathan. Did you watch that link that I posted yesterday? Somebody linked me up in my chat, my early bird chat, with it. Was like this very elaborate interview about dark matter. with an astrophysicist. Did you watch that?
No, I'm really sorry, Owen. I didn't.
I'll try to repost it.
I don't.
Because if there is any viable hypothesis to be found in astronomy and astrophysics, it should be there.
Yeah, but I already know it won't be.
Don't spoil it.
Right, guys from Discord. Any science for the globe?
They
No
just tell you
science,
what
but
science means.
I think a lot of pseudoscience, though.
Yep, they're all pseudosciences.
That's a shame. For those of you who believe on ionosphere. What about any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Violation of the second law of thermodynamics. No such thing.
Plus atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, you're going to need R.
Yeah, you are going to need R for that. Okay, what about R? Any evidence of that?
Black swan.
Yeah, Black Swan pretty much demolished that.
That concludes the housekeeping. Quick plug for something
I have
I'm
an
putting.
objection.
Oh, go ahead.
I said I
Yay!
have an objection with the distance to the sun part. I mean, how you guys say need R for that? Well, even without the R and even on a plane, that's still a viable question. Distance to the sun, right?
Absolutely.
So I don't think we have to say if you need R for that one, because we're still
Yeah,
curious for ourselves.
It's directed to our opponents. I see what
Okay,
you're saying.
Right.
A flat earther could come in and answer that question and postulate, whatever, 4,000 kilometres. And you go, okay, we're never going to respond, you need R for that, because they're just triangulating with it, triangulating with a apparent position in the sky that moves as you move. But nevertheless, they can still make that claim and they won't need R for that. They being flat earthers. But that is end of housekeeping. Unless there's anything else. Any more for any more?
Well, not bad for a few people on Discord today. They did good.
I thought so too. Very well indeed. No objections.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Tith, man, give Discord his props, man. But you did. Thanks.
Nobody said otherwise. Nobody was implying otherwise. What are you suggesting?
Can you post that link of that video? Can you post that link in that video so that in chat on the YouTube that you've watched on the Mercator chart?
Yep, I can. I put it in Discord.
He won't be able to
Maybe
post it.
Righteous.
You can't post it in YouTube chat if that's what you're asking him to do. He hasn't got mod status.
Oh, okay. So maybe someone can copy it and send it to me in Masterby or Skype.
If someone would be so kind to forward that from Discord. While we're doing admin, I'm going to plug my own show because it's coming out tomorrow. About, I don't know, 30 hours, maybe a bit less from now, if you're watching live. And it's the last video I'm going to squeeze out of that debate for the guy that came to get Bitcoin out of David Weiss to have his claims of a sphere vetted. And I was saying in the pre-show, arguably it's the best of the four. So I managed to squeeze 4 clips out of that video. Or that live show, I should say. No, technically a video, because one of them was in the pre-show. Nevertheless, the fourth and final video from that show will come out tomorrow. It's about 20 minutes long. And I'm very proud of it. It's a good video. One of the few times we get a concession out of Fundy for saying, no, I'm wrong. Yeah, okay, you've hammered my point. Now I'm going to put my point aside and try and ask you questions because I'm here to learn about flat Earth. At which point I told him to get lost because he wasn't here to learn about flat Earth. He was here to teach us about the sphere for the prize of Bitcoin. Anyway, that's coming out tomorrow, so check it out. It's called something like Win Bitcoin for Globe Proof. In fact, I think that is the title. So check it
Nathan,
out.
Nathan, I've got a few more slides on the topic that we left after the pre-show. Tell me when you're. I'm going to get to it myself.
Okay, I'm there. Great circle.
Yeah, give me a second. Hold on. There we go. Okay, so you've got, go to the bottom. Start from the bottom. New York to Paris.
Okay, ready when you are.
Yeah, I don't know why that goes in reverse. I guess I should type it and post it in reverse to get it in order. But here we go. So you want to go from New York to Paris in the straight line. It's 3625 miles. And the circular dotted line there is 3786 miles. But here they're a little trickery because the straight line is their curved line, and the curved line is the straight line. I'll explain. Next slide, please. Oh gosh, come on. All right. So as you can see here, a great circle route calculator. Here's a string from one location to another. So that is the shortest route on the. Now you got to imagine three-dimensional here. So that's curved actually. That's what they're trying to say here. Okay. Go to the next slide. And you can see that if you do a run line, that eventually you're going to end up at a pole on their presupposed model. If you go southerly, you end up at the southern pole. That's their straight line. But the great circle, that's the shortest route. That's the curved line. Now notice the switcheroo here. All right, next slide, please. So what is a great circle? A great circle is anything. Now this is presuppose. It's all make-believe because you got to assume you're on the globe, and we just went through housekeeping. There's no R. We don't have any radius value. But if you were on the globe, a great circle would be this great circle with the yellow meeting the red, and it goes all the way through the center of the Earth. So whenever they reference great circle, it's got to be a continuous, like you're cutting the Earth like an apple in half. And that to them is a straight line. This circular one plane is their straight line. Now, this is, if you live on the globe, and you say this is a straight line, you need a doctor. Okay, now if you go to the next slide, it shows the great circle is a straight line and the run line is the curved line. Now go figure how they can switch you every time they want this nonsense. Because what they're trying to say is that the great circle, the slide previous with the yellow dotted lines, a continuous circle is a straight line. So on the very next slide, they'll show that as a straight line. And the run line, the actual straight line, is the curved line on the globe. What nonsense. You need R for that first.
Epic. Getting right down to the nitty-gritty. It's not just we've been deceived. Here's the deception. It's here's how you've been deceived. I love it, 10th. You're getting right into this.
Oh, there's so much more. It's just getting through that. Like I said, the first thing was making sure I knew how the sextant worked, and that was going to be the kill-all of all kill-alls, because if it can't work on a curved surface, it's over there. But then how do they trick the navigators? How come people using the sextant can actually believe it is working on the curved surface? So that's the stuff I'm into now. And there's so much minutia there. I have to watch video after video. I've ordered 9 books from eBay on this subject that will be coming in the week. I have quite a library accumulating here on this. Eventually, within the next 2-3 years, every segment of this will be dissected.
I love the fact that you dropped the disclaimers in. Notwithstanding that you will require R, that's important, because your disclaimer that in order to take this apart from within the paradigm, you're having to accept things that have already been debunked. It means that anybody listening really does understand this is merely an explanation after the fact. We've already debunked the claim. It's already well in the realms of yesteryears in terms of these sorts of claims. But you then have to say to yourself, well, if you were the guy on the ocean and you were filmed by BBC tomorrow about how you do it, and part of the explanation included why one aspect that wasn't what was being done in terms of the actual triangulation and movement across the plane is explained as being on a sphere by the navigator, this is how it's done. And you've got to beg the question to do it. And I'm grateful, that you don't fight against begging the question and justify it. You just give the disclaimer for how it must be assumed and how we've debunked it before you go on to give your explanation, which I'm very, very grateful for, because it means there's a consistency to the audience, that they hear that first. They hear, yeah, this is already debunked. We've already got rid of R. There's no longer a geometric horizon. There's no longer a sphere assumption justifiable. And the reason people still assume it is because...
Yeah, well, I'm kind of forced to that, since every citation and reference and book I can get my hands on has been written from that one point of view. So there's no flat earth version of this until what we're doing. We're the first to do this, I think, as a group, with Adam and Brian and Mitchell and Flatzoid as well, and others who are, and that's my hope, that everybody takes this as their argument and studies it like I've been. And I get some help from the sidelines, because the more the merrier, because we're going to be the first to ever bring truth to the sextant.
Yeah, and we'll be berated for it. Happy days. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'd rather be on the side of truth and suffer ridicule than be on the side of a lie and be in consensus. Because that being in consensus isn't consolation enough for those of us who are detailing to us currently how stressful it is to be on the side of the globe. And we know.
I don't think so.
You don't think it's better to be on the side of truth with ridicule than
No,
lies with consensus?
No, I'm saying I don't think you'll be ridiculed. I think you're going to stand and be recognized. When the time comes, you will be recognized.
I mean, that's well and good. I don't know if I want necessarily any recognition. As long as I can keep the lights on, that'll be a start.
It's inevitable.
No, but I'm dead serious. I mean, you know, first and foremost, I'm a YouTuber. I want to be successful on YouTube, and why do I want to be why do I want to be successful on YouTube? So I can pay the bills. It's a job. This is my job. I love my job, and I love the subject matter that's covered within my job. But in terms of saying, oh, well, hopefully one day I'll get a little medal and some authority figure will tell me how well I've done and tap me on the back, I don't care. Literally, I couldn't care less.
It's inevitable. People are they're gonna be flocking. They're gonna want information. We spoke about it the other day.
But that was an appeal to the future fallacy.
Very true.
I see the future unfolding right now. Come on, wake up.
I can see it too. We'd be like Han Solo and Chewbacca with our backs to the princess. She'll be in a gold bikini and she'll hang a medal around my neck and say, well done. You did really well.
I'm thinking more like Braveheart.
What, we'll die strapped to something going, freedom, as we die in agony.
No, when they stand to be recognized.
No, that'd probably be more like it. They'll be gutting Nathan somewhere in town square and he'll yell, it's not a sphere.
He's the main flat earther. Crucify him.
Yeah, the pain they're in for the recognition that they're not on a sphere, and the obvious and observable flat nature will be deflected onto the messengers. Get them! They're the ones causing you this pain. If they hadn't have said anything, you'd all be in happy, blissful ignorance. So it's their fault, really. Go and get them.
Or if they would just shut up.
In the book by Harold Jacobi called Navigation, chapter 6, titled The Sextant, he says the point directly overhead is the zenith. The angle between lines drawn to the horizon and the zenith is 90 degrees, or a right angle. The minute you bring in angle, which are, you need two straight lines for an angle, and the right angle, you've got triangulation possibilities all over the place. So here's a navigation book that says you need a right angle. They die with the word angle. They die later when they take the instrument called the sextant, the tool that could only work on a flat baseline to give you that right angle. So they die on two terms, the description of what the word angle means, and they die with the tool itself, which is this is so shameful of them to use a tool that can never work on the curved surface and to lie to everybody all these years when it's as simple as understanding what an angle is?
Yeah, the moment they say angle, the response is welcome to flat Earth. Shout out to Godzilla37 who says, I'm the authority on, quote, job well done. Here's your earned pat on the back. No, well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate a super chat on the back because that'll pay the bills. Times are tough, but I really appreciate the support, Godzilla. In all seriousness, thank you very much indeed for your super chat.
Let's look at some the whole concept of sextant and right angle. I put 6 slides in Master B, Nathan. Just tell me which one you see first.
Got our very fine fellows utilizing a sextant.
Okay, so you see the 2 Navy guys using a sextant. Now, an angle measuring device. Right angles. Okay, what's the next slide you see?
It's there.
The black and white.
It's the Muppet Vision description of a 90-degree being drawn to a zenith.
Is that the black and white version showing the right triangle to the ship?
Yes.
Should be.
Green and
Okay,
white.
so all right.
Colorblind.
So here we go. So those 2 guys on the same video describing how the Navy uses a sextant, look what they shown here. A right angle to the zenith, just like in the book Navigation by Harold Jacoby. So look at that flat baseline. Where's the curvature? There is none. Next slide. I don't know which order you're looking, so just give me a heads up.
S1, S2, S3.
Okay, so now when you do 3 sightings, you get S1, star 1, star 2, star 3, and there it is again, the right angles again. This is in the thesis work by an individual who was describing how a sextant work. And it says you need that little 90-degree box at every one of those GPs of these 3 stars, and those circles could be various distances apart from the GP. So one of them could be 3,000 miles from the GP to you. The other one could be 500 miles, and the other one could be 5,000 miles. But guess what? You need a right angle to each one, and where they all cross, that's where you are with that right angle measuring tool called the sextant. This is all from their information, okay? No flat earth site put this out. Next slide, which is it, Nathan?
Blue circle.
Yeah, so now they got this one. This is really cute. They show 3 circles of equal altitude, and they've got the box in each one at the GP. Not me. I didn't put that there. This is your slide, ballers. How in the world, if you want to depict this circle as a 3-dimensional Earth, a sphere, can you put a box? And that radius from the center to where it meets there, where all 3 circles meet, could be 6,000 distance, 4,000 distance, 1,000 mile distance. All have to be a right angle triangle. How does that work on a sphere lately? And what's the last 2 slides that you see?
I don't have a last 2 slides. That's it.
Oh, you don't have the one with the
I do.
boat with
Boat on
the boat.
Boat on the globe. Yeah, I got that.
So this is 10th man's close-up image of the last slide on their globe. This is what they want you to believe. This is how it works. You can't. Sextant's going to shoot out into space if you do it on this thing. Is this how it works? Are we having a big laugh already?
Yeah, this is
Okay,
just stupid.
It's just a minor hump correction.
Yeah, you need this straight line though, and this GP is supposed to be meeting the ground where it's got a right angle. So they've just decided to show the triangle with the right angle, which is absolutely required, and just plonked it on a sphere. You know, the artist in this has just gone, yeah, I'm not going to try and explain it. Just bosh it on. That's how it'll look.
Okay, last slide. Now, this I take credit for. I did do this slide. 2021, year of the sextant. A glorified protractor, working with right angles, 90-degree box there, and a 180 baseline straight. Bye-bye, globe.
Yeah, you don't have any straight lines on a sphere. You certainly don't have 90 degree to the zenith position above a star or the sun. So this 90 degree, this box destroys the idea of us being on a sphere and proves we are on a flat plane. This can only be done on a flat plane. Sextant proves it.
You can't have a circle of equal altitude on a sphere either. It would be a divergent zenith. So that That's crap too.
That's
Indeed.
right.
Hey, Brian.
That's hey Brian.
Hey Nathan, hey everyone.
Good
Wasn't
presentation.
that
Good presentation, by the way, 10th, just before we clip past that bit. You're getting more and more concise, more and more detailed, and you're digging out more and more information in terms of the why and how of this deception, which is epic. So my hat is off to you. The more you do it, the better it gets.
yeah, we're going to keep jamming it down each time.
Is this the first time you've done it in the live show?
Nah.
Oh no. No, what you said about say your comment, John, before Brian. I think I'll need Brian to comment on it. Say your comment about the zeniths, diverging zeniths.
Yeah, you can't have a circle of equal altitude on a globe. You'd have divergent zeniths on a globe.
Yeah, so I bring to attention something that happened last week, but maybe the video happened earlier, where one of the anti-flat earthers put two different size cups on an orange and said, "Here you go, it works on the globe." And who was that? Who did that, Brian?
Wolfie 6020.
Yes. Now that's interesting. How you could take a smaller rimmed glass, put it on the round three-dimensional orange and say, "See, it works here. That's three-dimensional." Yeah, but you forgot that 90-degree box that you guys put in all your books. That's number one.
Well, it's technically not a circle anymore. As soon as you put it onto a sphere, it's then three-dimensional. A circle is two-dimensional. When
Exactly.
it stops being two-dimensional, it's not a circle, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, and the radius can never be bent, right?
Well, the radius in that example is the radius of the chord that dissects that curved line that would go underneath from edge to edge on the glass that's placed on the top of the sphere. That's a chord line. Well, as Brian so eloquently points out so often, that line won't match with the curved surface above it. If you're taking a 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 mile distance to the GP of the star, and then you're calculating it based on the chord line, number one, that isn't what you're doing with the sextant. But number two, it gives you a different distance. It's greater when you increase it because it's curving over the top of the chord. The arc length is greater than the semi-chord, i.e. radius.
Yeah, that's the problem with the lie. You get caught on many fronts. Go on, Brian.
Okay, you finish what you're saying. I'll say something to say.
Well, I was going to. I mean, that's the truth right there. Because if they're going to put that glass on the orange, then to get that 90-degree box, you have to use a chord. Well, that's not how the Nautical Almanac is designed, nor is it what is their official narrative. Their official narrative is that within the Nautical Almanac, it's already predetermined that all measurements are coming from the center of the Earth. So forget that one, Wolfie. You have to have it come from the center of the Earth, not a chord. You just blew it big time right there on your own narrative, which is false to begin with. Nothing's coming from the center of the Earth. It's all done on the surface. Go on, Brian.
Because they don't think things through.
Yeah, Brian.
Exactly, Neil. They don't think things through. Yeah, the sextant, you're measuring a distance along the surface. Now, if you take his orange and with his glass placed onto the orange example, then the distance for the radius and diameter of that circle that he's trying to put onto the orange is a chord line. So, but they don't measure chord lines with sextants. They measure distances along the surface. So what he's doing is a complete impossibility. It's the surface is the surface of his orange. He's not thinking about it. As Neil said, they don't think things through. Think about how that would work, how the sextant would work on his orange. It wouldn't. But it does work in reality. So that means we're not living on something the shape of his orange.
Yeah, how does it work? Well, with a flat baseline. So what is it working on? Well, it's working on a flat plane. That's one of the aspects that's being utilised. So I said last week to 10th, it's not a proof of a flat plane. It's a fundamental principle to actually doing the triangulation.
Exactly.
Well, the proof of the flat plane would be that you arrive at your destination, right?
Yeah. The fact that it works when it's utilising a flat surface. You use it, you get where you're going. You don't have to introduce a sphere and a chord line. Quite the contrary, if you did, you wouldn't get the straight line to measure the angle, to have a flat baseline, to triangulate, to reach your destination. It must be flat for this to work.
Yes. Can I add something to that? Because to me, it stands out the most about the whole triangulation conflict, especially from the globe side, is that on a flat plane, you are part of the triangulation. Like your place is basically accounted for in the triangulation. On a globe, their center point is the center of presupposed sphere Earth, which is literally never going to be within physical reach.
That's a
right?
good point.
So that
That's a
you
very good point.
bypass yourself in the triangulation process on a globe.
Correct. You can't, on a globe, involve yourself in this triangulation measurement. When it's been detailed back to us by people like Bob the Science Guy, it's taken to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. The angle is then assumed to be out infinitely distant when you measure the star, so it would make no difference. But what they're essentially saying is, you cannot make this measurement on a sphere because the angle's assumed to be from the centre of the sphere in all instances when we beg the question after doing the actual angle measurement on a flat plane. So when they beg the question after doing the angle measurement on a flat plane, they are no longer part of the angle measurement. They've removed themselves from the angle measurement itself. And Arwin's point is, when you do triangulation, you are literally at the vertex of one point on that triangle. You're one of the angles. It's at your feet. Now, if you're above the surface, you've got to drop that angle down mathematically to meet the surface, because that's what you're measuring along. That's your baseline. So to Brian's point in terms of dip correction, what you're doing is making it a purely geometric calculation by having a completely flat baseline, by accounting from your height down to the ground level. Then you become that angle. Your feet are at that angle. That's one part of the triangle. Not on a sphere, it isn't. No, you're not even part of this anymore. Yeah, it's nothing to do with you holding the sextant anymore. No, it's just assumed to be from the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth when we don't have any reciprocating zenith angles, because it's working over a curve now, and that balls the whole process up. But when we make this assumption, you're not even doing the measurement. You're not holding the sextant. We're just going to assume that that's irrelevant and it's from the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. So, as they are now going to tell us and have told us, they can't even assume that they're holding the bloody sextant if they're on a sphere. Right, Arwin?
Right. If you think you're on a globe and you're trying to explore with the sextant, when you realize what you're doing, you're going to throw your sextant in the ocean because it's supposed to be at the center of Earth.
Nathan, I got a slide the master be. Go on, Brian.
Sorry, thanks for cutting in on that. Yeah, well, the problem with what they claim with their center of their globe, besides the R value problem and everything else, they're admitting that they can't use the surface to do what the sextant does.
Exactly.
They're admitting by bringing things to the center.
That's that's kind of Arwin's point, though, isn't it? That's what they're admitting. Their admission is to say, you holding the sextant, you're not going to be doing this measurement on your surface that you're standing on because you're going to assume a globe. So you can't do this from the surface. It's not done from the surface. You aren't measuring an angle. It's an angle from a sphere centre that you're going to be assuming when you don't do that with the sextant. Okay, we all cool? Yeah, you literally cannot do it on a sphere, and they'll tell us how it cannot be done on a sphere because the angle's assumed to be at the centre of it, which you can't be at. So it is an admission, Brian, but yeah, that's kind of a bit late because Arwin was the one with that glory. Like always, Arwin swoops in.
It's my trademark. No, but that point has been staring me in the face for a while. I just thought it's good to really focus on that for a moment, because like, they every time they try to demonstrate something on their autographic model, they always so easily just start calculating from the center of Earth, and I'm like, did you ever measure that?
No.
You're just using that center of the Earth in the calculation. Like, where does it actually get involved in the real world, Baller?
It doesn't. It just gets juxtaposed, and that's what Adam pointed out. So the reason you're thinking about it so concisely, in the same way as you summarising the Arwinian paradox, was because of the black swan. Well, in this instance, the only reason you're describing how they can't be holding the sextant when they actually bait and switch you into taking the centre of the Earth as the degree that's going to change Well, that's only because Adam actually pointed that out in the first place. You've just concisely pointed out that literally that is a concession that you cannot measure on the surface of a sphere and won't be when you describe how they claim you can.
You see the two slides in Master B?
I do. I'm on the one with the geometry first.
Yeah, the black and white.
Yeah.
All right. This is from a sextant handbook manual. Okay, that comes. Correcting for the height of the eye. When measuring the altitude of the sun, you need to measure the angle formed by a ray from the sun and a plane tangent to the earth at the point where the observer is standing. Pretty clear, it's being done on the surface. However, due to the height of the eye of the observer, the visible horizon actually falls below the theoretical place, figure 11. This requires that a dip correction be made. First trickery here is to show this being done on this circle that is supposed to represent orthographically their globe. Now, this illustration is such a deception, as you'll see in a minute. Due to the height of the eye, the observer, the visible horizon H falls below the plane tangent to the Earth at the point where the observer is standing, P. To apply a dip correction for the height of the eye, here's the all-important application of what dip correction is. Apply a correction as shown in the table below. Dip correction increases as the eye is raised further above the surface of the water, not the center of the earth, of the water. So if you're on a 10-foot height above the water in a small sailboat, from the surface of the water to your eye where you got the sextant, it's 3 minutes of dip correction, 3 minutes. Now, can you imagine if it was done from the center of the earth?
Oh, it's absurd.
No.
It's so absurd.
Not
Okay.
reality.
Okay, so now the picture is so deceptive because it's a side-on view. Then let's go to what Nathan has done lately, especially when that one guy came and he wanted to look at the side-on view of his own head when he was doing it. Let's go to the next picture. What is this guy actually seeing? This is a flatzoid slide. Spherical trigonometry dictates the surface of all standing water must curve downward equally in all directions. Because there is no curvature from left to right, there cannot be curvature from near to far or any other direction. It's called sea level for a good reason. Now, this is what the guy is seeing. If you go back to that black and white picture, it doesn't look like that's what that guy's seeing because of the angle of the dip correction that they want you to take. See, this is a deception here. No one sees this much curvature because the picture, the color picture that Flatzoid put, shows what the sailor sees, a flat horizon. Can you guys wake up if you're an anti-flat earther and realize you're being deceived by a cartoon?
I put the cartoon up of the triangle on top of a sphere surface. Lol. Indeedy do. I don't know what's going to happen with globe Earth, lads. Moving forward, how can they recover from any of this?
That's what I always say. How can they recover?
Well, they never recovered from the Black Swan. You know, it's just another reminder. Like, yeah, guys, I know this has been a very interesting back and forth philosophy debate, but it's really not that globe.
Right.
It's akin to the Earth is spinning. Now, we know the Earth is not spinning, and the people who say the Earth is spinning don't feel the Earth spinning. So, okay. So they got them believing the Earth is spinning, but no one, unless someone put that in your head, no one would wake up, grow up from a child to an adult feeling that the Earth was spinning, because they just say, no, this stuff in the sky is moving. How many of those things have they bought into? The sphere. We live on a sphere, and people are antipodal to you. Well, no one, that goes against all logic. And so, but because you accept it, And then all of a sudden it comes to, oh, we can trick people with orthographic pictures and show dip correction as being something way more than what they actually would do if they actually were using a sextant. Because when you look at it straight from your eyes, it's just 10 feet above the water. You look at that picture, it's got this big old angle over a big curve that you never, ever see. But they told you it's there, just like they told you all the other stuff was there, like Earth spinning when it's not, or else we'd have Earth-based Coriolis, and we don't.
Quick shout out to the Akumu virus from chat. Just like to say, welcome to Flat Earth. His comment reads, all I need to triangulate is 3 circles of equal altitude. Thank you very much for the comment, Virus. Really appreciate you joining us in agreement on this flat plane we all dwell atop.
Just on something that Tent was talking about before I came in earlier, and it'll carry on to what Tent has just been talking about there. When Tent was talking earlier on about these, what they call great circle routes, they're just longitudinal routes. And as a shout out to Dave Voice and to Flat Earth Banjo, as they state very correctly, flights going from north to north don't go into the south and then back to the north. But how many flights going south to south have to go north to go back into south? Right? You have airline pilots, right, who know they can't fly a plane. Right? They can't fly a plane at cruising altitude in a straight line, or in any way, other way but a straight line, and they can't do that without keeping the nose of their airplane above 0 degrees horizontal. They know how a plane flies. We have engineers and mechanics that know how planes fly, airline mechanics that know how planes fly. They know what a plane does and what it doesn't do. Now, they will still argue with you that they're flying over a curve. You know, engineers and geodetic surveyors, they measure flat all the time. But because they then mathematically try and curve it all into a ball, without ever measuring any of this, they will then argue with you that it's a globe. It's just in brainwashing.
They're willfully ignorant. They're willfully ignorant. That's what I said. Are they some sort of brainwash going on here?
Yeah, everyone's brainwashed, Neil, in the Western world. That's right. Shocking, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess it is.
On the other hand, they did tell us. I mean, I certainly learned about what propaganda was when I was in school. They tell you what it is. They tell you how it works. And then when you go out into the world as an adult and are subjected to it, I think subconsciously you know what it is, but you just accept it.
I guess I'm saying, like, I'm expecting everybody to react the way I reacted, like, holy shoot, the Earth is flat, and that's just not going to happen.
Again, when whoever said recognition, I think it was you, Neil, earlier. Well, that's an implication that everyone else will wake up to the deception and align with your understanding of the world.
To Neil's comment, I'd like to explain what my opinion is there, because I've had interactions with people on this. The types of people that see truth and don't bring in a man-made filter are the ones that see it. The other people see the truth. It bothers them, but then they go through their man-made filter. Oh, you know, if I admit to this, then if I admit to this, then it's so riveted in pride that when truth comes, the first group of people say, I invite truth, whatever the truth is, because that's what is the defining thing of who I am. The other people, if truth comes and it can redefine everything they are, they resist it because they don't want to be redefined. It's a willful choice. That's a Kumo right there. He knows what a 90-degree angle is. He knows what a flat baseline is, and yet he will not be redefined because he's vetted in this heliocentric model for whatever reason. That the truth,
Well, that's
it won't matter.
Well, that's willful ignorance, and to me, that's quite lazy.
It's not ignorance. It's chosen to stay in the deception.
A lot of people, when this first turned up, and even to right now today, who aren't involved in this debate, they think this is the most ridiculous thing ever because they think that we're claiming that the whole world is being lied to, right? And they think there's no lie that could be that big, right? But it's not about the whole world being lied to. It's that the whole world is self-deceiving itself due to an initial lie that was perpetrated by whoever, right? People of education with devious minds, let's just say. And the whole world now self-deceive each other. The whole world is self-deceiving itself. Every individual person that is believing they're on a globe is self-deceiving themselves. So it's not as if there's a constant lie being fed. That lie happened a long time beforehand. Now it's just that everyone is deceiving themselves due to not being willing to accept that this is wrong, what they believe.
Yeah, it's like the architect in The
Well, it
Matrix
goes
2.
deeper.
So in The Matrix 2, the architect explains to Neo that they lost crops and crops of people when they gave them a perfect world and didn't let them know that it was a deception. They figured out by themselves and then rejected the program, and crops of people were lost. However, if they allowed the people to be aware of the deception, even at a very subconscious level, then they would accept it. In other words, like you say, people are willfully doing this, but it's at a very sort of subconscious level that they're doing that. So when that comes to the surface and they start questioning other things that they've willfully accepted, basically, that scares them. And that normally makes them suppress it again. And that's good enough for the control structure.
Yeah, well, Lucifer did say, I will exalt myself above the heavens. I will be like the Most High. And then all of a sudden, you got a heliocentric model.
Right. I don't know about Satan. I just know that we're not on a sphere flying through a sky vacuum and spinning.
I think Neil's point is he's the father of lies, so all the lies come from him.
Correct.
Well, technically, we deceive ourselves, don't we? So we can't even blame the devil. You know, we're doing this to us, to ourselves. Who's keeping a coma for us?
Himself.
Keep believing what himself.
No, you don't lose responsibility for believing the lie and holding to it once you've seen the truth. That's on you for sure. But the propagation of the lie was there before Akuma was even born.
Yeah, but the propagation of the lie is now self-perpetuating. Therefore, it comes from people like Kumu Varus, who are self-deceiving and also publicising their own self-deception. So there isn't necessarily any need for it to be propped up by the controlled system. It is, it's very prevalent in media. It's highlighted in media. So, the idea and the notion of being on a sphere, as far as I'm concerned, you can't explain away the propaganda as being propaganda once you know what it is and what you're looking at. It's so intentional. Now, you might go, well, no, what about the filmmaker who just drops it into Superman and doesn't, necessarily know? He's, just intentionally peddling this for the sake of a sphere deception? Hoo-ha-ha? No. But there is, for that guy, plenty of information that he can pull from when he decides he's going to make a film about space that's from space and presented and purported to be from that area that doesn't really exist. So it's like, well, because that propaganda does definitely exist and is being paid for, next man in line will self-perpetuate out that same deception without being asked.
Well, like you said, 99.9% of the Western world is deceived, so they're just on cruise control.
Right.
Hold on. In the schooling system, we all didn't wake up and think we're on a ball. We were taught it in school.
Yeah. And that's made its way into the curriculum and is propped up by astrophysicists and the mainstream consensus narrative about space. But the mainstream consensus about space in the last 40 years, maybe a bit longer, has radically changed. And you go back even further, 106, almost 107 years, and it radically changed again and was left with a band-aid explanation for something that didn't have a phenomena and was debunked by gas behaviour. That would be gravity. So now we're in a quantum world that doesn't jive with any of the heliocentric nonsense, meaning that the actual consensus scientific discovery with scientific validity flies in the face of heliocentrism. And that's all current mainstream stuff that you do not need to fear on any side of the argument to claim. You can say literally, this quantum mechanical world that's being described, even if you look at the bullshit world that's trying to be integrated into the heliocentric world, it doesn't make any sense. It's full of contradictions when they attempt with pseudoscience to sandwich the two together. That doesn't work. But the ultimate scientific principles that are being demonstrated in quantum science are debunking the notions of heliocentrism. There's no way around that if it's part of your own mainstream science consensus. That's the situation we find ourselves in.
Nathan, I've got that chapter on the sextant up in Master Bead, that one reference. So let's go to this gentleman, Harold Jacoby. And I don't know what Virus does with this, because this is from his side of the camp. Tell me when you got the chapter 6, the sextant.
Ready when you are.
We have twice made reference to this instrument. Once, page 5, as a contrivance for ascertaining by observation how high the sun is in the sky, and again in page 59, in the measurement of the danger angle. These two uses of the sextant are not inconsistent, for it is really intended for measurement of any angle. Page 8. Now think about that right there as a pause. So here he is, a chair of Department in Astronomy at Columbia, written this book. In fact, let me just read digress here. The back of the book says, this book has been considered by this is one of those words. How do you say it when it's the academy and it's the people? Academicians, I guess. I don't know how to say that word.
Academical?
And scholars. No, ACADEMICIANS.
Academics?
Yeah, that's easier. That's what I could say. But this one is hard for me. Anyway, this book has been considered by people in academies, okay, and scholars of great significance and value to literature. This forms a part of the knowledge base for future generations, so that the book is never forgotten. We have represented this book in a print format as the same form as it was originally first published. Hence, any marks, annotations seen are left intentionally to preserve the true nature. This is one of those books they don't want to disappear, is what I'm saying. So with that kind of exaltation of this guy and his book and the findings in his book, let's start again. We have twice made reference.
Just before you do, academicians.
Thank you.
Paula spelt it phonetically, I think, or she just spelt it with a few capitals to highlight. Academicians, I think, is correct.
It's my admission I can't say all the words in the English language. All right, we have twice made reference to this instrument, sextant, of course. Once, page 5, as a contrivance for ascertaining by observation how high the sun is in the sky, and again on page 59, in the measurement of the danger angle. These two uses of the sextant are not inconsistent, for it really intended for measurement of any angle formed at the observer's eye by two lines drawn to two distant objects. It can't be clearer. What he's saying, where the angle is formed, is the observer on the surface of the Earth, and it takes two straight lines to do it. It's right here, Virus. In the case of the danger angle, these two distant objects are landmarks ashore. In the case of the sun, they are the horizon line where the sea and the sky seem to meet, and the sun itself. This height of the sun, or any star in the sky, is called its altitude. And next slide. And so the altitude is always an angle to be measured in degrees and minutes. Now, pause here for a minute. So he already told us it's an instrument to measure angles, It's the two straight lines to the observer. And now he says the altitude is always an angle to be measured in degrees and minutes. The point directly overhead is the zenith. The angle between lines drawn to the horizon and zenith is 90 degrees. There you go, ballers. He said 90. I get to say 90.
He also didn't say that the angle was drawn from the center of a presupposed spherical Earth now, did he?
Well, that's the last part here that will obviously denote that. Or a right angle. A right angle from the observer holding a tool that measures angles, and no mention of center of the Earth. He said, what did he say in the previous slide? These two uses of the sextant, oh, here it is. Formed at the observer's eye by two lines drawn to the distant objects. Is the eye of the observer at the center of the Earth, Nathan?
No.
Bye-bye, globe.
Yeah, it's epic. Doesn't work. And obviously Arwin will get all credit for the fact that when you're holding the sextant and making the angle measurement as described in this chapter of the sextant, you won't be doing that from a centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, and when they tell us that the angle's taken from that, it means that you're no longer actually holding the sextant at all. You've got to assume that you're not even capable of being there to make the measurement. Epic.
Yeah, let's keep at it. Everyone, make it part of your day. Learn about the sextant. Come in with your own slides. This is going to be going on for quite a while.
That's why I did not agree with Arwen's boycott. Look what we missed. We could have had this last week, Arwen.
I told him he was missed. I don't think he felt unloved, Neil.
I never did. I just didn't agree with him leaving.
Can we get back to pouncing on ballers?
Check it out, this little Nazi. What do you mean you didn't agree with him? He's his own man. He can do whatever the hell he likes. Didn't agree? What are you talking about? God, I'm glad you're not running the show.
No,
Neil.
he needs to be here.
No, he doesn't. There's no obligation for any of you to be here. We're going to get into this in the after
You
show.
miss a lot. All I'm saying is we missed that, Arwen. Missed it last week. Could have had this information last week. There's certain things that Arwen gets that nobody else gets. So
The information
essential.
That what Arwen said, Adam said, Brian said, I've said, Nathan said, Mitchell has said. Arwen just said it through his perception of the way his mind works, and he made it very nice and clean. It's so kudos to everyone.
That's my point.
Yeah, Arwen just said it better.
Yeah.
With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you for smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, hitting the PayPal link, as it has definitely been a tough month. So I really am grateful to all of you who have been supporting me on PayPal. So stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!